We live in a time like never before where information is simply a click away. But with so much information coming at you from so many sources, how do you find reliable information? In this video, we'll ask this question and many others from a prepper YouTube channel, Full Spectrum Survival, that puts out 5 episodes each week with news updates you typically won't find in the major media outlets. Hey YouTube, this is City Prepping. I want to thank Brad over at Full Spectrum Survival for taking the time to put together the content for this video. Full Spectrum Survival is a channel which I highly recommend you check out. I'll put a link in the description below. And after watching this video, I hope you enjoy the content and definitely would encourage you to subscribe to his channel. I've been in discussion with Brad over the last about month or so. We've been talking back and forth, and I actually did a video for his channel last week, which again I'll provide a link in the description below. Full Spectrum Survival is it's a survival channel, it's a prepper channel. He talks about things with in regards to bushcraft, but one of the things that's really unique about the channel that you really won't find anywhere else is that he puts out 5 videos a week with news that's going on for whatever is happening that particular day, and it's news that you're not going to just find in any major news outlet. And so when I began to watch his videos, I was really intrigued with how he came up with the content. How he's able to filter through everything, all the garbage that's out there, and actually get real relevant information, again, that you just won't find anywhere else. And so I put together 10 questions for Brad, and in this video, while it's a little longer than my typical videos, I encourage you to watch it all the way through, as the content it's really strong content. And so again, thanks to Brad. Again, I encourage you to check out his channel, and I'll provide a link in the description below. Alright, so here are the questions. Number 1. What got you interested in producing your own news content?
Hey City Prepping. First, let me thank you for having me on here. It is truly a pleasure. What drove me to start creating my own content was a lack of information, a lack of facts for the prepared and aware communities. I'm a survivalist and I'm not afraid to say it, and just like many people watching, we are prepared. We are preparing for the unknowns of tomorrow. We are aware to the dangers that exist in our world today, and we do not want to be dumbed down by the information that's force-fed to us in the mainstream media agenda or the pro-Western government agenda. So I saw this great lacking of information, and I wanted to go out and find real facts, real things that were happening in the world around us, and deliver them to people so that we can all make better decisions as we prepare for those unknowns.
Number 2, where do you go to find your information?
So I get my information really from all around the world. I'm a Python programmer by trade, and so what I created was an algorithm a couple of years ago that goes and sources information in over 10 different languages using news websites, social media outlets, live chat rooms, bulletin boards, if anyone remembers those. And it feeds all of that information back to me using a dictionary. A dictionary is a key value system. So if I'm looking for a key, like let's say I'm looking for radiation, my program will go out there and it will do a scan of all things related to radiation with the keywords and searches that I put into it. It's going to feed that information back to me with a hierarchy of what it feels is important. Then it's up to me to go and look through it, fact check it, make sure that that really is happening, that that really is important. Then I go and build the information that I deliver to the community. So I really get that information from around the world 24 hours a day. And then 5 days a week, I put that into the World News Update on the Full Spectrum Survival channel.
Number 3, I have a hard time filtering through all of the information that can be thrown at you every day through the different media sources. It seems like there's so many different outlets with their own agenda that's trying to push something, for you to believe. And on the flip side, I'm always trying to challenge myself to look at maybe information that necessarily doesn't line up with my worldview. But how do you put together information without trying to push a specific agenda?
You're so right that there is an agenda in the mainstream narrative. There's a pro-Western agenda in our government and the information that you're allowed to see from them. There's an agenda on RT with Russian information, an agenda on Press TV. Everyone does have their own agenda, and I would be lying to say that I don't have an agenda as well. It's just my agenda, our agenda in the survival and prepared communities don't align with the government's agenda. My agenda is to deliver fact-driven information that matters to us in the aware community. So I want to know what's happening with the bird flu. I want to know what's going on with Fukushima. I want to know what the propensity for earthquakes are in California. I want to know all of these things, And because they help me be a better prepper, they help me be a better survivalist because I'm aware of what's going on, aware of the potentials for the disasters that could happen in our world, and I can better prepare for them. And so I deliver that as part of my awareness agenda to the community on full spectrum survival.
Number 4, people are more and more turning to Facebook for their source of news. Now, I've read various reports that Facebook is modifying and altering content, again, for a specific agenda. Can you comment a little on that?
So Facebook is without a doubt a government-run, or at least at the very best, a government-allowed organization. So it's a social media giant. People turn to Facebook more often than they turn to email, calling, or texting their family members. They are on different forms of social media, including Facebook, for all of their information. What these organizations found out is that if you tell a person something is trending, they're going to buy your bullshit. And they're going to feel that it's trending too, and they're going to feel like it's popular. If you go on YouTube and you look at the trending videos right now, you'll see things like transgender beauty queens. You'll see White House press conferences. You'll see these different things that you're told are trending, that you're told are important. And what that does is it makes those things trend, and it makes those things important. And so, whereas in our community, we're not afraid to be the black sheep out. We're not afraid to stand up and say, that's wrong, or that's not okay with me. Most of the world isn't like that. Most of the world wants to fall right in line with that. So they use these social media giants to push a pro-Western narrative, to push for the wars that the United States and other countries are backing, and to push for the dumbing down of people. And they're using this all around the world. So it's definitely something that we want to look out for. It's something that we all want to look and say, let me fact check that myself and make an understanding, make a decision on my own as an aware individual.
Number 5, the term fake news has been used quite a lot here in the media lately. I've read some articles that the search engines are going to begin to consider eliminating from their search results what they deem to be fake news. Now, the founder of the internet, Tim Berners-Lee, in an article I read recently, discussed his concern with giving the search engines that power to, again, eliminate what they consider to be fake news. So, could you talk a little more about this and the term fake news?
So fake news is huge right now. Fake news is a way for the government, it's a way for social media giants, it's a way for mainstream media outlets to call into question any alternative information. So let's talk about alternative information for a second. Alternative information, alternative news, is anything that goes against the mainstream narrative, anything that goes against the pro-government grain. We say, okay, well, what happens in Turkey when something goes against the pro-government grain there? Right now, because Turkey is a United States-backed dictatorship, if you go against the pro-government narrative, they're going to pick you up, arrest you, put you in jail, and then put you in front of a judge that you might never see. So this is the shape of the world. This is what is happening around the world. What Princeton University, I think it was Princeton, might have been another university, found is that if a group of people are given blatant facts and then they're given alternative information that calls into question those facts, they're going to make a decision based on what they feel to be a trusted outlet. So let me just break this down. If the government says an outbreak is not happening, a bird flu outbreak, like what they're saying in China. In China right now, if you discuss the bird flu outbreak, which has crossed the species barrier over 400 times this year, if you discuss that, you go to jail for inciting, I believe it was inciting violence or inciting riot, something like that. Now, let's say, just as an example, you see a bird flu outbreak happening. And then the government comes and says, no, it's okay. That wasn't that. It was a norovirus. So that was fake news. That was that was misinformation. That was just it was clickbait. The average person, the sheep, not you or I, but the sheep of the world are going to look at those two and they're going to say, okay, I saw an outbreak. Yeah, that looked like an outbreak. The government said it was just clickbait. I do hear a lot about that. I'm going to trust what the government told me because they have a reliable, trusted source in their own opinion. So fake news is getting slapped onto anything that goes against that pro-government narrative. It's a very, very dangerous thing because it shapes the consciousness of a society. It shapes us all to have to make a decision to either go out and aggregate our own information, believe an alternative outlet, or believe the government narrative. The best choice of action, and I tell everyone that views my World News Updates, views my channel, is go out and get your own information. Even if you follow my updates, the links are there. Fact check it yourself. Go and see that this is what the white papers say. See that this is what the virologists and the disease researchers are really saying. Find out how much of a lethal dose of radiation really is for yourself. And then see if you believe that the government says it's safe.
Number 6. While I typically avoid getting into politics on this channel, the term fake news is used quite a lot by this administration. Anytime any news outlet produces an article that sheds any kind of negative light on this administration, they immediately fire back and say that's fake news. That concerns me because over time, if the government begins to decide what is real news and what is fake news, that can be very problematic for the obvious reasons. Could you talk a little more about this?
I try to stay out of politics too. It is definitely a contentious subject. My view on the current administration is going to cause, it might cause some flack. It might cause some flack for me, and it definitely might cause some for you, City Prepping, on this channel. The current administration, the shape of the U.S. government, is doing the wrong things for the right reason. Now let me explain that. They're doing the wrong things. They're causing division among race and sectarian and religion. They are calling into question the legality and making it illegal to protest. So okay, that's for the right reason. Protests have a propensity for violence. They have a propensity for, unrest. Well, of course we don't want that. Until you do. Because as soon as protests are illegal, that means that you and I cannot stand up and say this is wrong when it's the government doing something wrong, when it's law enforcement agencies doing something wrong, when it's the EPA, when it's any of these government organizations. It stops you and me from being able to stand up and say this isn't right because now protesting is illegal. So now you and me and our peers can't get together and stand in front of a courthouse and say, no, that's not okay because it's illegal. But they're doing these wrong things for the right reason. They're causing division between race and religion. Every time in history that you cause this division, a country, a society, not implodes, but falls in on itself. And this always leads to war because it drives an us versus them mentality in the human, in us as citizens. So if you're not with us, if you're not of the same race, of the same sectarian belief, then you're against us. So what is stopping me from saying, yes, let's go to war with that nation. Yes, let's do this. Yes, let's criminalize this. The problem is, it's okay until they come for us. And that's how it's always been in history. So pay a close attention to what the current administration and what future administrations are doing, because we are on the road to a dictatorship. We are on the road to tyranny. And it always follows this process over and over again through history. You have freedom, laws, dictatorship, dictatorship, some rebellion, tyranny, revolution, and then freedom again. And we're right now in the freedom and laws section of that cycle. So we need to watch closely what is happening now and what will happen in the future, because dictatorship and tyranny, you might look at some things around the world now, like Google's army of fake news personnel. They have over 10,000 people who do nothing more than flag fake news. Flag it for inappropriate or offensive content. What does that mean? Well, on my channel, about 30% of my videos get flagged for offensive content. It means they're not advertiser friendly. So that means that I put up a video, and if it has civil war, if it has radiation, if it has Trump lies, if it has any of these keywords or any of this content in it, Google flags it as not being advertiser friendly. They're taking that a step further now and flagging it for offensive content and taking it completely out of the search results, taking it completely off the internet. So we need to be aware of this, and we need to watch for it, because it is something that's going to shape the future of the United States further from freedom and further in, and closer to a dictatorship.
Number 7. What are the things that are really concerning to you as you do this research on a daily basis that individuals like myself are probably not even aware of?
So the things that trouble me as I do my research, this is huge. I see the white papers from the virologists. I see the disease researchers talking amongst themselves. I see the research paperwork that shows the actual sieverts that are coming out at Fukushima. So let me call that into question right now. At Fukushima, it's recently been reported, you can look it up yourself, over 600 sieverts per hour are being released at the nuclear reactor site. That means that there's sludge in the ground that people can't get close to. They can't even send robots to it to get a picture of it. And it is constantly emitting this deadly level of radiation into the earth. So what is a sievert? One sievert will give a human radiation sickness in 1 hour. You take one sievert in 1 hour, you get radiation sickness, and you have a very high chance of cancer. You take 5 sieverts in an hour, and you're gonna die in a month. You take 10 sieverts in, and you're gonna die in 3 weeks or less. 600 sieverts are being released every hour of every day into the environment at Fukushima. Well, why isn't everybody blowing up about this? Why aren't the governments of the world saying we all need to come together and fix this? Because then the average human would wake up and the human would say, no more nuclear power. This is too dangerous. They would wake up and say, no, we can't allow this to happen. But that doesn't fill the pocketbooks of the politicians or the universities or the companies that make nuclear power. That doesn't keep this cog of economic power going. So instead, they cover it up and say, nope, it's okay, it's contained, it's all right. The fact is, plutonium has a half-life of 40,000 years or more. That means it will take 40,000 years for it to become half as contaminated or emit half as much radiation. 40,000 years. Generations upon generations will deal with this. The bird flu in Asia, it crossed the species barrier. You know, the bird flu has evolved. The avian influenza virus and all of its variations have evolved to infect birds on a large scale. It crossed the species barrier 19 times last year. That means it went from a bird to a human 19 times. This year, over 400 times. Something has changed. A mutation has taken place. Virologists are warning that the pandemic could start this year, next year, or they don't know when. But the mainstream isn't talking about this. Because by your government standards, you as a human, you as a sheep, not in our community of course, but the average human, is meant to do 3 things with their life. Go to work, pay their taxes, and be happy. You do those 3 things, you're going to be pretty much overlooked by the government and allowed to carry on your little life, for as long as you naturally live, soaking in that radiation, or if you don't die from the bird flu or something else. 3 things. You stop paying your taxes, you're going to get somebody looking at you real close. Stop going to work. Society says, oh no, you can't do that. Stop being happy. Well, we're going to need to fill you up with some drugs. So 3 things. Go to work, pay your taxes, and be happy. That's all the government wants you to do, and that's what shapes the media, shapes the news that you're allowed to see. Please keep an eye out for it.
Number 8. What motivated you to become a prepper? Why do you prep?
What motivates me to be a prepper is definitely the ability to protect my family and the ability to protect and prepare for my friends. I'm a survivalist by nature. I practice bushcraft. I go out there and get into the woods. I want to do those things. I want to take the meat for myself out of the forest. I want to dig up the food for myself out of the ground. That's who I am. I don't want someone else doing it for me. That motivates me to be a prepper. I might never have to use these skills, but my children will have grown up learning these skills. For thousands and thousands of years, every human on this earth was considered a survivalist. They had to hunt their own food. They had a close eye on the government or any form of governing. They had to farm their own food. They had to do these things themselves. For the last 100 years, you were a black sheep if you thought about this, because it took away your dependency on the government and it allowed you to be independent. I want that independence, and I want my friends and other people in the community with me to walk that line towards independence once more. Even if nothing more then we know what's injected into our food. We know that our food has not been genetically modified, and we know what is safe for us and our family. And in the event of a disaster, should a long duration emergency or a crisis affect one of us or our family or our friends, we can be there to help others.
Number 9, you recently did a video called the apocalyptic short film, Surviving the Collapse. Could you talk a little more about that video? Is this going to be an ongoing video series, and what were you looking to accomplish with this video? And by the way, I'll provide a link in the description below. I encourage the viewers to check it out. Great video.
So the apocalyptic short film, Surviving the Collapse, was huge for me. I want to use entertainment as a teaching tool for others. It's a short film based in a fictional world where a disaster has taken place. As I will continue this series, as I do, I'm hoping to collaborate with different channels and show different things that might happen. Now, I might not always take on the persona of someone who's doing the right thing. The people shown in the video might not always be gunned up and tactically correct and know their first aid, because those aren't good teaching tools, in my opinion. I would rather you look at what I do and say, why are you doing that? Or I would do this differently. Because at the end of the day, we all learn from each other. I'm no expert of anything. I'm learning in life just like everyone else. And some stranger from around the world might say, Brad, I start my wetwood fires this way and it's much better. And I might go, wow, you just saved me hours of preparatory work, or you just made that so much easier for me. So my motivation for these short films is definitely to teach others through entertainment. I think that it's an important way for us to learn. So I hope everyone checks it out. And if they have any questions or comments or what they want to see in the future, please let me know.
Number 10, what's your thought on survival gear versus survival skills, and why should someone subscribe to your channel?
So what do I think about survival skills versus gear? I think essential gear items are important. They help you survive better. Essential gear items for me are definitely a water purification unit. I like the Sawyer Mini because it's $19 at Walmart. It's accessible, everyone can get it, and it's proven to work. Now, if avian influenza is rampant, am I going to trust the Sawyer Mini to filter out the viral logs of the avian influenza virus? Not particularly. I'm still going to boil the water after using it. But it gives me a tool that will hasten my ability to survive. If I didn't have the Sawyer Mini, I'd have to build a slow sand filter. For anyone who doesn't know, please look up a slow sand filter. They've been used, and were going to be used on a massive scale as modern society was kind of coming into its own in the 1900s. However, to give a huge populace enough water, you'd have to build football field size sand filters. But it is a very good thing that you and I can build on an individual level out of a 5-gallon bucket or something larger for a larger group. It's cheap, easy, and reliable. Make sure you know the difference between a slow sand filter and a fast sand filter, because the slow sand filter has a Schmutz or a biological film on the top that helps remove inorganic compounds and other things like viruses and bacteria. My other essential gear items are definitely a knife, a cutting tool. I'm going to need a full tang cutting tool. Could I do without one? Yes, we can all do without certain things. But does it make the job easier? Does it increase my survivability? Hands down, without a doubt. With a knife alone, I can cut the wood necessary to make a bow drill. There's my fire. I can take down some of the smaller limbs and fuel for my fire. I can build my shelter. I can make cordage building even easier. I can do all these things easier with a knife. Does that mean you have to have one to survive? No, but for me, it's definitely an essential piece of gear. A water option, shelter, fire, and a cutting tool are without a doubt my essential gear items. But skills are huge. I urge everyone to get out there and practice bushcraft. Go do wetwood fires. Go make a wetwood fire. If it's miserable and cold and wet, go out there and try to make a fire. Because when you need the fire the most, it will be the hardest to make. And so knowing where to find dry tinder, knowing how to shave the wood, knowing what to look for in fat wood or lighter knot, knowing all these things will help you better survive a disaster. Skills trump gear every single time. The more skills you have, the less gear you need. But gear will also make life easier. So it's kind of a tough one for me. If I had to say why should someone go to my channel, why should they subscribe? Without a doubt, the World News Update is huge. If you want to know what's going on in the world, please come over to my channel, subscribe, and take a look at what's really happening. Not the bullshit that you're fed in the mainstream media. Not the bullshit agendas that you're fed by just international news organizations. Look at what's really happening. If you see something happening that I don't report on, please send it to me. Email it to fullspectrumsurvival@gmail.com. I'll look at it. If it fits into what I'm putting out, I will definitely put it out there and credit you for the news tip. Also come over for survival and preparedness information. I do crisis tips, the short films, things like that. So please come over and just join my part of the community. City Prepping has a great community here. I'd love you to be part of mine too at Full Spectrum Survival. So as always, from my wife Kelly and I to you and yours, stay safe and keep watch.